Welcome back, folks, for a very quick update video on what's revealed at Gamescom for World of Tanks. So it appears that we're getting 2 lines of Swedish tanks rather than 1. And that's kind of surprising because originally I thought it was going to be 1 line of medium tanks starting with light tanks. So with the introduction or leak info of the Stridsvåg M42-57 alternate number 2, this vehicle right here, I thought it was going to be 1 line of medium tanks leading up to the famous S-tank, the STRV-103. But yeah, we're getting 2 lines. So one line is the tank destroyer line leading up to the S-tank, and the other line is a hybrid line leading up to the heavy tank Kranvåg. The Kranvåg is a smaller version of an AMX 5120. Kind of looks like it, but I'll cover it in a future video. But for now, we're getting 2 lines of the Swedes. So that's impressive compared to the Czechoslovakians, which only got 1 line of. So yeah, it's a big patch. So 20 vehicles in all for the Swedes. But I'm guessing that this patch is going to happen around Christmas of this year because it's a lot of stuff and not a lot of stuff is revealed for now. So I'm guessing Christmas of this year. And this year does feel kind of slow because for the early half of this year, we only got physics and sound update, which are quite a few. I mean, pretty big, but no new tank lines per se. So yeah, this year does feel kind of bare, but for the second half of this year, Wargaming promised the Swedish tanks as well as, or hinted, a second line of French heavy tanks with a lot of armor, like the AMX M4 model 1949 and AMX 65T and the Meliore, so I'm guessing. But yeah, that's a lot of stuff crammed into the second half of this year, so we'll see how it goes. But am I excited about the Swedish tanks? It has no armor, just like the Czechoslovakians, just like the Japanese tanks. So it doesn't fill a niche like the Japanese heavy tanks. So surprisingly enough, last year at this time, at Gamescom, Wargaming released info about Japanese heavy tanks. And Japanese heavy tanks were very, very unique because crazy amounts of armor, gigantic. It's a whole niche by itself. Whereas for a lot of the European tanks, they don't have armor. They pretty much use the same guns. So yeah. But let's take a quick look. So interesting enough, a lot of the tanks were predicted by SP15. So he is the resident Swedish tank researcher, I guess, on the North American forums. So he's pretty good. But yeah, it does fit pretty well towards what he predicted. But surprisingly, we did not get the Stridsvåg 81, which is basically the Centurion Mark III. So we're getting heavy tanks, and these tanks are paper tanks. So the Emil number 2, which is alternate number 2, and there were 1 more version of it. So these were basically copies or trying to do a resemblance of the AMX 5120. So these are paper tanks per se. And these are infantry cannon Våg. So like the infantry cannon Våg 91, which I was going to think as tier 10 medium tank, but nope. So disappointment. But everything leads up to this thing right here. So cage armor. I wonder how this thing will go, but if you're going to implement cage armor, you better fix the Panzer IV Schmaltern with the mesh side screens, please. Also, this vehicle is very controversial because it has a fixed mounted gun. This gun doesn't move by itself unless you traverse the entire chassis. So it's like playing with a destroyed turret. So imagine playing I don't know, what's a good example? A KV-4 without a turret. Actually, that's a bad idea. this doesn't have the armor as a KV-4. But you know what I'm saying. So imagine playing a Sherman tank with a destroyed turret. Yeah, it's pretty hard to aim at stuff, right? So I wonder how they're going to implement hydraulics with pneumatic suspension, so you can get more gun depression and more gun elevation based on the suspension tilting. Also, it has two drivers, so the gunner is also the driver at the front with a reverse driver at the back, so it has the same speed going forwards and going backwards as well. But it's a weird vehicle, so I'm interested about this tank more than the medium tank line, more than the hybrid tanks. But I believe the Swedish tanks are kind of a red herring, because we already have some of the tanks, like no armor per se, big frames like the Japanese in the game. So doesn't fit a niche, so not that special, not that unique, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, red herring for the Swedish fish, but it's alright. So here is Quickie Baby's live stream. He showed off the model for the S-Tank. Orgasmic, I know. So it's a pretty cool looking tank. But thinking about the gun characteristics, I'm kind of frightful about how difficult it is to play this thing. So I'll talk about it later on. But for now, it's a pretty looking vehicle. Very pretty. So, yep, here is a better quality magnification. Here is top to down. So it's a tank destroyer without armor at tier 10. So not a lot of vehicles have no armor, but a lot of camouflage, I believe. So this is one sneaky, very stealthy TD at tier 10, which we don't have. But based on the current meta, based on the current corridor maps, doesn't favor this thing well. Oh well. And here are some HD renders of upcoming Swedish vehicles. So here is the Splitbug 74, which is basically M42 with a modified turret. This is tier 6. Here is the IKV 65, alternate number 2. It's tier 7. I don't remember, but yeah, looks pretty decent, boxy. So here is the L60. Now, the L60 inspired the Hungarians to develop the 38M Toity, so the Toity 3, and that's why this thing kind of looks like that thing. So, small fun fact. Here is the STRV M42, so the tier 5. Alright. And here is the, we already covered this thing, so the AMX 13 turret on the M42. But I want you guys to check out what they showed you, or what they showed the audience at Gamescom for World of Tanks. So check out this quick clip of the 100 years battle mode, I guess.
It arrived 100 years ago. A symbol of a new era. An era of steel monsters. Many changes have taken place since then. But today, it returns. It returns to remind everyone of its power and glory. Meet the legend in the new event for World of Tanks.
And there you go, folks. Battlefield 1 trailer by Wargaming. So, imitation is the best, most sincere form of flattery, yada yada yada. But I believe that trailer is actually more interesting than the whole reveal of Swedish tanks. Blasphemy, I know, but here's why. It's mainly because the demonstration of the two vehicles. The first vehicle is the Mark IV male version. The Mark IV male version has two 6-pounders, so two 57mm with 14mm of armor and like 7 kilometers per hour top speed. Yeah, the armor is crap, the speed is crap, but what's so special about this vehicle is the two guns. So it has two guns on sponsons next to the tracks, And it's pretty stupid to play this thing with only one working gun. So are we getting multi-turret support? That is one of the golden questions that has been asked for a long time. So are we getting multi-turret support? Because playing this thing with only one working gun is very stupid. So yeah, we could have T35s, FCM F1s with multi-turret support. So are we getting it? And is this system going to implement more vehicles like TOGs of Tier 2 and Tier 3? So hopefully we are, but who knows? The second vehicle is the Lanchester AFV, the armor fighting car. So what's so special about this thing is it's a car. It has tires in World of Tanks. World of Tanks is basically tracks, all armored stuff. And that's it. Even vehicles like the Czechoslovakian Tier 1, which it should have tracks and tires, but they removed the tires for some reason. I totally forgot what the name. The Kolokzinka, how dare you forgot the name. But yeah, that thing should have tires. So are we getting armor fighting cars at half tracks? Because that would be pretty cool. So stuff like the M8 Greyhound. Yeah, that's a car. That's a car. So getting cars adds a whole new element of vehicle types to World of Tanks. You could have anti-aircraft cars that shoots machine guns at Tier 2. That still works, right? So not just the T7 combat car. You can actually have actual cars. So two elements. One is the multi-turret support, and the other one is tires. So two different stuff, but those will update more variety to World of Tanks. Whereas you just add more Swedish vehicles, which should be just like Japanese tanks without armor, or Czechoslovakian tanks without armor. Whoopee! It's not as exciting, right, as multi-turret support or tires. So that's my 2 cents. Hopefully you guys know what's going on at Gamescom and what's likely going to happen for the second year of 2016 in World of Tanks. But that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.